Welcome to Film Riot and Merry Christmas, which you might not be watching this on Christmas, but it was posted on Christmas. I'm not recording it on Christmas, so there might not really be any real reason to say that, but I'm still going to say that. Merry Christmas. Today, we are answering questions that you submitted about our new short film, Sentinel, which if you have not seen it, check the notes below for a link to that. Definitely watch that before you watch this because we're going to be talking about it. Worked with a lot of really talented people on this one, including Andrew Kramer. So as you could guess, with Andrew Kramer involved, the visual effects are absolutely out of control. So definitely go check that out and then come back and watch this. But let's get into the first question. One question that wasn't asked, but I'm going to talk about anyway because I loved it, is the opening shot of Sentinel, which is this drone shot right here that I shot on my Mavic, which originally looked like this. Ryan Thompson, who's crazy talented, handled this one, and it was done using stock images because the original clip right here feels very bland, flat, part of modern society, and it just doesn't work for the tone that we were trying to set. So we wanted something that felt a lot more enclosed in and in the middle of nowhere. No help is coming for this guy, and we accomplished it using stock images. So inside of Premiere, I could always grab a stock image just by going to Adobe Stock and then searching out the type of image that I want to find, scaling through, find something that will work, and then I can plug it in right inside of Adobe Premiere to give Ryan a sense of what I'm looking for. Then I can pass that off to him. He takes a shot and then works his magic to make the thing look insane. To this point, no one had caught that it was a VFX shot, which is a huge compliment. He also added a tree right here that overlapped the background, which I thought was a brilliant touch because it helped to glue everything together. But now to get to your actual questions. Hey Ryan, how are you? Hey PJ, pretty good. Pretty good. The gun prop looked awesome, reminding me of something from District 9. Is that something you built or did you purchase it? That was built by my friend Bill Duran. He actually did a whole build video about how he made the gun, so if you want to check that out, look in the notes below. Now that you've delved into a few different genres, which one do you personally enjoy the most, and which one comes the most natural to you and the team at Triune Films? I think it comes the most natural to me, and I enjoy this sort of action the most. Not necessarily sci-fi, I do love sci-fi, but this sort of thriller, action type of thing. But when you tack on like a sci-fi element, a fantastic element, I get even more excited about it. Also, horror would land in there too for me. I think those two things, sort of a thrillery vibe where you can have the suspense, you can have the intensity, you can have the action. That's the stuff that gets me very excited. And it's just heightened emotions with everything. And I love toying with that because you really get to put exclamation points on things, which is a lot of fun. And I'm always talking about giving an audience an experience, and those have very heightened experiences. So that's a lot of fun to add in as well. Since this is a physical story, was Justin involved in the writing process? Was he able to add/change smaller beats like jumping over the ditch? There actually was no script for this one. With each thing that I do, I'm always using it as a test, an experiment, a way to learn more, to advance myself towards the end goal of feature films. So I wanted to go into this with just bullet points of ideas of things that I wanted to make sure to include in there that called back to itself or external things. But there was no traditional script there. So when we got on location, it was very much figuring out where we fit those beats in and sort of developing things on the day. And Justin was a huge part of that, of course. So the things like the flip once the explosion happens behind him, the jump over the ditch, the roll into the barn, those were all Justin's ideas, bringing these little stunt moments to the table to help heighten everything. Did you give Brad a sound design mood board like you would give a cinematographer, or how you'd give song examples to a composer? I was actually a part of the sound design and sound effects editing for this one. So inside of Premiere, I layered all the sound design in there for the entire film. I just didn't really do a massive mix on it. And then I could bounce that to Audition, do a basic mix so I could show it to people so everybody could really get the feel of what was happening. And then I sent that off to Brad. So he had everything he needed down to the Foley cut in, the running was cut in, all of that. So he could very much see the vibe of what I was going with and then start designing from there. So he added a lot of sounds. He took out some sounds and replaced them with better sounds. He used synths to do things. He has a whole synth that he used for the charging thing that he was just pitching to really get that intensity there. So for most of my films, I'm layering some kind of sound design in there. So that acts as an example, pretty much the same way that I do temp music, and then my sound designers and mixers then either throw that out entirely or use some of it, but they get the general idea of what I'm going for. How do you time the blank plate shots like flying ship? That's obviously not there when filming, or is it? It's not, and it's just keeping it in my head of where I want it to go, knowing that I could time remap it if I had to, but we didn't. It's just a matter of knowing what you want to happen within the frame, and then usually for things like that, I'll operate the camera because I know exactly where the thing is supposed to be and what what I want it to be doing. This looks like a small part of something bigger. When writing these, do you have the bigger story in your head, or does it go no further than what's on the screen? I have a much bigger story going on in my head that I reference slightly, but don't really give any of it. I think that's important to the thing overall, to give it that bigger feel. I think without that, it'll just fall flat and it won't have that feeling that there's a world outside of this world. But I also like experimenting with the idea of not really giving the audience much of anything, give them little visual cues to start piecing things together and see what they kind of put together based off of things that they've seen before, their own experiences, and how they're filling out that story. And it's great to watch the comments and see people try to guess on what's going on. And I find that very interesting on where they take certain things, and very educational for me as well to see that sort of reaction. But there is a bigger story to it, and that is how I write these sorts of things, or in this case, didn't really write, but all the things that happen in it are a part of that greater story. The usual question, I suppose: what camera, what lens, what did you eat for breakfast? I didn't eat breakfast, but we shot on the C300 Mark II and SLR Magic lenses. I have a set of 3. They're amazing. They have an EF converter. We actually got a PL mount C300 Mark II from Lens Pro to go for this one, so we didn't need that converter, so we could go straight flush to the camera, which is helpful, of course. And I just love the look that comes with. They're very low cost anamorphics. I mean, they're not cheap as far as cinema lenses goes. They're on the lower end for sure, but they're definitely not cheap lenses at all. But if you compare them to any anamorphic lens at all, they are extremely cost effective. And I really like the look that there's a lot of character to them, almost a vintage lens meets a modern lens. And it's a very unique look, especially in the bokeh and how it handles the image as a whole. So I've been very happy with them so far, and I think I'm going to shoot my next project on them as well. How long did it take you to make this short from start to finish? From concept to completion, it was 6 weeks, but about 5 weeks total of actual work being done on it, which is, for something like this, a pretty quick turnaround, I think. Sound design was so good. Any tips, software, libraries? I need to know. For this, we used a lot of Boom Library. I used the Motion Pulse Pack from Andrew Kramer and Video Copilot. I used all of our packs, and it was just a matter of sort of layering things in. I think I don't even know how many layers there were in the end, but inside of Premiere I had something like 40 layers of sound, and it's just taking all those sound and piecing them together to create something else entirely, so it's not just one thing. There was also a lot of synth sounds, like I was talking about before, that Brad layered in there, which sounded amazing once he did. So it was a little bit of everything, and a lot of wild sound too. All the sounds of Justin weren't really sounds that we got later. 99% of them weren't. They were all sounds that we got on the location that we recorded before we left the location, making sure that I took my F8 and my Rode NTG3 and went off with Justin and got him walking on every sort of surface that we were going to need, moving through the grass, sort of recreating the moments that we shot just for sound, so we could take that in and use it and it would sound authentic to the scene. How different is it to write sci-fi film than any other film genre? For me, I approach every genre the exact same way. There's no real difference in the way that I think about it. There's an idea there's a tone that I'm trying to set, and I follow that, and that dictates everything else. So I'm not really thinking differently in any real way. I think it all just comes right back down to moments, experience, and story, and I just follow those things. And last question, any plans to show some BTS? We have a overview BTS episode coming out on Thursday. Then we're going to be taking a short break from Film Riot because of the holidays, and then we'll be back with more. And I'm doing a few tutorials that will be going on Adobe's YouTube channel as well. There's nothing more discouraging than having a pile of overdue paperwork just sitting there staring at you while you try to work or do anything you enjoy at all. Well, our friends at FreshBooks have their cloud accounting software that will give you more time to do the work that you love and not feel discouraged by the paperwork demon. FreshBooks has been redesigned from the ground up and custom built for the way that you work. It's the easiest way to be more productive, organized, and most importantly, get paid quickly. The all-new FreshBooks is not only ridiculously easy to use, it's also packed full of powerful features. You can create and send professional-looking invoices in less than 30 seconds, set up online payments with just a couple of clicks, and get paid up to 4 days faster. You can see when your client has seen your invoice and put an end to the guessing games. And right now, FreshBooks is offering a free 30-day unrestricted trial. To claim it, just go to freshbooks.com/FilmRiot and enter Film Riot in the How Did You Hear About Us section. Logo. So that's it for today, and I'm going to use what I'm watching as an excuse to promote all the extremely talented people that were involved in helping make Sentinel happen. So definitely check out the notes below. I put links there to all of their work. They're all crazy, crazy talented. So make sure you do that. And until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.